What place is overrated to visit? Times Square on New Year's. If you know, you know. Hollywood. The most disappointing garbage and piss covered place on earth. Plymouth Rock. The only boat small enough to have landed on it would be for ants. The New York Stock Exchange. You can't actually go in and see the trading floor. Japan has such a romanticized view of France that they actually have a term, Paris Syndrome, for the sudden shock suffered by Japanese tourists when they see that France isn't how they imagined. The Little Mermaid statue in Copenhagen. It's just so meh and too far away from the city center, especially if it's freezing outside like the time I visited it. Just get a souvenir or a postcard or something. Copenhagen itself is beautiful though. Very highly recommended. Someone will think everywhere is overrated. If you check the travel sub and say you're going to a European capital city, it's overrated and you need to go to the countryside. If you're going to the countryside and skipping the capital city, you are missing out because it's a gem. Go where you want. Read up on it so you have reasonable expectations of what you will see though. Hollywood Walk of Fame. Haven't seen a dirtier road. So now I know everywhere I want to visit is overrated. Sloth Jordan. Please go anywhere else in Norway when you visit. Whatever expectation you have of Roswell, New Mexico, it's worse. If it's a super popular spot on Instagram, it's probably overrated. UAE. It's the most culturally deficient place you will ever see in your life. Four Corners. It's hours away from anything notable and there isn't really anything to do there except a picture and buy Native American crafts. Mount Rushmore. Its face is on a rock basically and smaller than you think. Hollywood. I feel so bad for tourists in LA that waste their vacation time in that dirty hellhole. Mall of America. It's just a mall with a lot of stuff in it. My opinion would have probably be different if I didn't live in Minnesota. Pisa. Besides the small square with a tower where everyone is taking the same joke pic, and guys trying to sell you toys, the rest of the town is pretty it. You're in Tuscany. Go to any small town and you'll enjoy it far more. Plymouth Rock. It's just a rock. It's not even a big rock, or a weird looking rock. It's just a greyish lump the size of a beanbag chair with 1620 carved on it. I didn't pay anything to look at it and it still was a ripoff. There's a nice pizza place nearby though. The Mona Lisa in Louvre in Paris. It's just a small painting hanging quite far away in a really crowded room full of tourists. Don't get me wrong. It's a beautiful, iconic painting. But it's not worth visiting the Louvre only for the Mona Lisa. The majority of the other artworks in that museum are more impressive than the Mona Lisa. If you're ever in Berlin, do all the touristy stuff in one day. Go to the Reichstag and walk to the Brandenburger Tor. Visit the Holocaust Memorial. Then walk to the Alexanderplatz. There's not that much to see, but that city has so much more cool places to visit or to hang out. Especially if you're looking to meet people or not pay much for little value. Can't wait until BuzzFeed gets a hold of this thread. Bondi Beach in Sydney. Overcrowded. Everything there is way overpriced. That wing mural in Nashville. There is literally a line that takes an hour to go take a picture with a pair of wings on a wall. If you're in Dublin, stay away from the Temple Bar area. It's ridiculously overpriced and is not at all what a real Irish bar is like at all. Definitely Mallorca. I'm German enough. I don't want to hear 90% German on holiday in Spain as well. The quieter, less central parts of Mallorca are gorgeous, especially for snorkeling and diving. But the Playa de Palma, or at least that part, is horrendously German lol. Lake Leogai. Like yeah, it's an honor to get invited by the Earth King, but in my opinion it was 4 stars not 5. The food was overcooked and bland and the pillow was stone hard and they had nothing softer. Like I've invited, I'd go again, I just won't go out of my way to get invited again. Times Square for sure. Although it's cool to see all the lights, it's honestly just glorified ads everywhere you look. There's nothing really special about Times Square. Lots of people, chain restaurants, subpar quality food. Lots of homeless people on the streets, and random people trying to sell you stuff as you walk by. Brussels. If you're in Belgium, visit Ghent and Bruges. Bali. It was beautiful 10 years ago, but now it's been ruined by influencers. The 7 wonders of the earth. Venice. Anywhere that's being destroyed by tourism. Batu Caves in Kuala Lumpur. Sarajevo is full of karst caves. Many are bigger and aren't full of tourists. Arsehole macaques are also everywhere. I didn't get anything out of Las Vegas. It was cool to see the themed hotels, but besides that it was just an overpriced cultureless soulless city designed to entertain you. Edit. I'm talking exclusively of the Strip. Anyone said Niagara Falls yet? Hear me out on this one. The falls themselves are beautiful, and I guess if you're really into the history of a waterfall and its surroundings you can spend half a day there, but once you've seen it, you've got nothing. The Canadian side is a discount Vegas, which Vegas in itself has been listed like 18 times in this thread. The US side is slummy ass Buffalo. Make Niagara a pit stop, not the destination. Kind of specific, but I visited the gold and silver pawn shop from the show Pawn Stars when I was in Las Vegas a couple weeks ago. Holy it, that place is tiny. Mad props to the production crew that films inside there, because I always imagined it was big and open. It's basically a single aisle from the door to the back of the store with a little side area where the registers and offices are. I went out of my way to see it, expecting to spend at least an hour looking around. After being inside for 5 minutes I saw pretty much everything and left quite disappointed. New Zealand. Don't come here. Disneyland. It's just a lot of waiting for itty rides. Tourists that visit popular places and are disappointed when other tourists also want to visit popular places. I live in Vancouver, Canada, and there is a place called Capilano Suspension Bridge. It sounds good but is overpriced and loaded with people. Edit. I'm trying to say that the place is great but not when there is so many people. A good alternative, that PPL agree with, is Lynn Canyon, which has less people and is free. South Beach, Miami. Overpriced bars and clubs. If you're a dude and you don't have a fine group of women with you, be ready to drop serious cash for a night out if you're there. There are better beaches up and down the coast that won't force you into the terrible traffic and parking SB has. Really only worth it when you had to pay respects to D-Wade the God. Bourbon Street, New Orleans. It's really just the same as any other bar district in any other large city around the world. Same old cover bands playing the same old songs that you'd hear anywhere. You can experience all you need just by walking down the street for an hour and not going in anywhere. Frenchman Street on the other hand is absolutely amazing. Everyone should go to NOLA just for that. Edit. I'm not knocking NOLA itself though. That city is amazing and definitely somewhere I'm going to return to next time I return to the USA on holiday. Toyosu Fish Market. The one that replaced Tsukiji as the fish auction central of Tokyo in 2018. You get to watch the auction process, but only if you go early in the morning, and even then, only through small glass windows 2 stories above the auction block. If there are more than a couple dozen other visitors, you will not be able to see anything. As for a Toyosu dining experience, you're better off eating sashimi and sushi literally anywhere else in Tokyo or in Japan. They mark up the prices at Toyosu more than 300% and claim that these are the original sashimi houses that have been serving fresh fish for generations. Yet the quality is no different than any other restaurant, and the wait times are more than an hour as each shop only has room to seat about 10-15 patrons per shop at a time. Getting to Toyosu also cuts your day in half as the metro route requires you to go several stops out of the normal JR line for Tokyo, and you will need to walk 5-10 minutes at each stop as part of transit. Once at the Toyosu buildings, you will spend even more time walking from the station to the restaurants and auction areas. It is not a convenient place to visit and not very special. I would cross it off any travel itinerary. Edit. As an added note, some have asked if Tsukiji is still in operation. It is. Anyone who has traveled to the old fish market can still have the same experience as many of the vendors. Shops and restaurants surrounding the old fish auction are still in business, minus the fish auction of course. As a tour guide in Paris, here's my time to shine and help you save time and money. Avoid Paris in June and July. August, September is best. May comes in second. Always book your skip the line tickets online before going to a landmark. Nothing in Paris is worth waiting 3 hours in line. Instead, go drink some wine and eat some cheese plus baguette in a nice park or by the river. Edit. Also, if you want to be sure to never stand in line, whether you have STL tickets or not, do show up early, like 30 to 45 minutes before a landmark opens. That way, you are almost guaranteed to get in easy. You do have to wake up earlier, though. I am adding things about safety and etiquette in an answer below since this post is too big. Louvre. Mona Lisa isn't worth waiting hours and is only one of the several Da Vinci we have. Currently and until December 2019, the Mona Lisa is in a small room with up to 100 minutes queuing time to see it. There are 34,999 other pieces of art on display in the Louvre, which is more than 10 miles of tunnels and covers 9,000 years of human art. Also, if it's your first time in the Louvre, get yourself a guide or get ready to lose yourself in the museum and be frustrated. But it's also part of the fun, I guess. Other option would be to get the Nintendo DS Interactive Map Plus Audio Guide. I feel magnanimous, so I will also add this Louvre Extra Fast PDF that I created for people who just want to hit the highlights in the Louvre without having to deal with the map. Read it and follow my instructions. Also, Louvre has night openings on Fridays till 21.45. Avoid the crowds, or say, it's awesome, but not worth standing in line for up to 90 minutes in June. Buy the skip the line. Better with a guide but not as critical as in the Louvre. Audio guide available, or say has night openings on Wednesdays till 21.45. Same. Catacombs. Buy the skip the line. I adore the Catacombs tour. In fact, it's my favorite to give, but nothing down there is worth waiting 2 hours in line. Also, if you get a guide, you get access to a VIP section with cool carvings and a chapel. Audio guide is option number 2. Invalids plus War Museum. Only worth it if you love Napoleon stuff and or war history. There's a lot of that. No need to buy skip the line as the museum is almost always empty. Pompidou Center. If you love modern contemporary art, go ahead. It's amazing. If you don't, forget it. They have also excellent temporary exhibitions, so check them out. Do buy the skip the lines. Picasso Museum. If you like Picasso, yes. If not, no. The museum has a nice collection, but make sure to visit the website to see if everything is open or not, cause they move stuff often. Usually, no need to buy skip the lines. Marmottan Monet Museum. If you like Monet, knock yourselves out. It's amazing. If you don't, forget it. No need to book the skip the lines. Palais Garnier Opera House. Yes. Worth is for the visit. Ceiling by Chagall. Opens 10 AM. Buy the STL tickets. They also have ballets and they sell last minute tickets for people on a budget. Père Lachaise Cemetery. Yes. You should see it, and not just for Jim Morrison's grave. But I say book yourself a tour since you will get so much more out of it and you will more easily find what you are looking for. Some are even free. This is so much more than a cemetery. I love to hang out there on sunny days since it's so peaceful. The official website has a map with GPS coordinates. It is much more useful than any of the paper maps I have ever seen of the cemetery. Notre Dame, Io. St. Chapel. Absolutely worth it, but the lines can be huge in June. Buy the skip the line. Most beautiful stained glass windows in Paris. Saint Germain des PR registered sign S. Totally underrated Roman Gothic church which is almost entirely restored. Incredible colors and will give you a good idea of what churches look like in the Middle Ages. Versailles. Buy your skip the lines. Seriously, worth it. But show up at the earliest in the morning if you don't want to be swimming through a sea of tourists as you pass the royal apartments. I don't even do this tour since the conditions are so bad. Eiffel Tower. For the ET, it's easy. Either you've booked your skip the line months in advance, or you're screwed. The lines can get absurdly long, and again, it's not worth your time. If you don't have a ticket but still want to enjoy the view of Paris, go up the Montparnasse Tower. No need to book in advance. Or up the Arc of Triumph. Cheaper and better view. if not as high IMHO. Arc de Triomphe skip the lines can be booked online. Don't eat at the restaurants up there. You'll pay for the view, not for the food, as some people have suggested. Yes, you can take the stairs to reach the second floor. It's cheaper and there are usually fewer people queuing. That being said, right now in season there's still a ton of people in line at both. Plus, if you want to get to the summit, you still have to queue at the second floor to reach the third. Here's my final advice for the ET: if you don't have pre-booked, get there early, like 45 minutes before opening time on a weekday. Aim for the stairs and buy out ticket stairs plus summit. Go straight up to the third. Behold. Now go down to the second and behold. Whoa. Take the stairs down to avoid lines or go to the upper second floor and take the elevator down. There's always one half of the second floor that has a queue to take the elevator down and the other doesn't. Figure out which is which. Arc de Triomphe and Montparnasse Tower. Both are great alternatives to see magnificent views of Paris for cheaper and with little lines. Buy STL for the Arc just to be sure. Boat cruises, yes, worth it. But book online. You're starting to get the point, I hope. Get the Vedettes du Pont Neuf. Their boats are smaller and you don't feel like an ant. All the companies show you the same stuff and the cruises are all 1 hour long. Do not book a dinner on the river. The food is itty. If you do want a decent dinner on the river, you'll have to go to an expensive company like Yacht de Paris. But they're pricey. Day trips outside of Paris, if the weather is good. Think about going to Giovanni Monet's Japanese garden and villa, but book in advance. You can also go to Auvers-sur-Oise, which is the place where Van Gogh spent his last days, and where he's buried along with Theo. Another cool day trip is Fontainebleau with its large forest and Grand Royal Imperial Palace. Think also of going to Chantilly Castle, largest classical art collection in France after the Louvre. Beautiful palace and gardens, plus royal stables. If you go, do me the favor of check out the most gorgeous medieval manuscript we have around here, Les Riches Heures du Duc de Berry. It's in there. Do not miss the first ever Gothic church in the world, the Basilica of Saint Denis, located north of Paris and reachable by metro. It's full of secrets, served as the blueprint for the earliest Gothic buildings and is the royal necropolis of the French kings and queens. The city of Sceaux, 40 minutes by Rail B train, has a gorgeous park with an open-air swimming pool. Even farther day trips. Reims, capital of Champagne plus the Gothic cathedral. D-Day Normandy beaches. Renaissance castles along the Loire River, including that of Francis I and that of Leonardo da Vinci. Chartres and its incredible Gothic cathedral. Mont Saint-Michel Island and Basilica. World War I battlefield of the Somme. Since this post is attracting attention, more stuff. There will be a huge Da Vinci exhibition at the Louvre from the 19th of October to the 19th of December. It's going to be great but also a ducking mess. As usual in the Louvre. Don't expect to see it if you haven't booked right now. I don't even know if there are tickets left. There is also a super cool and trippy Van Gogh exhibition at L'Atelier Lumiere until the 19th of December. The Klimt one will also be back on August and the 19th of November. Just as amazing is an exhibition about Navet art, led by Russo. Yay. At Muse registered sign Mayol from the 19th of September to the 20th of January. Also, if you are traveling with kids from 4 to 12 and the weather is good, take them to the Jardin d'Acclimatation. They've renovated it and it's even more awesome than when I was a kid. It's like a mini theme park. Another option is the SIT registered sign des Sciences et de l'Industrie. Think science museum for kids with lots of hands-on stuff like the Exploratorium and SF. Really fun and right near a huge park with playgrounds, a ducking submarine you can visit, and drinks for the parents. Even more stuff. Most churches in Paris are free. Saint Eustache, Saint Germain des PR registered sign S, Saint S registered sign Veron, Sacre registered sign Cœur, Saint Pierre de Montmartre. For Saint Chapel you do have to pay 10 OA since it's not an active parish, but it's 150% worth it. Important. If you plan on visiting many museums and landmarks, buy yourself a museum pass. It will save you money and skip almost all lines. Go to their website and figure out if it will save you money. Same is true for the metro. Get yourself a metro card, Paris Visit Pass, and save money of the Uber taxes. Last but not least, I have spent the last 5 years working on a map of my favorite places to go out, eat and drink in Paris. Here it is, free of charge, just because I like you Reddit. Check out this website, partially in N, mostly in FR, for what to do in Paris. Edit. Thanks for the gold, silver and all the nice messages everyone.